Are you ready?
Hit me.
If you could invite any 3 people, dead or alive, to dinner, who would they be?
Well, Steve Jobs, because I would love to have him see what has happened. Harriet Chick, I think she was the greatest nutritional scientist ever to live. And I would love to have, this is a strange one, a British Presbyterian minister from 1750, Thomas Bayes. He came up with the most influential formula in all of tech right now. Never knew it. He didn't publish it. And a friend of his, published it afterwards.
Mad. Love it. Very good variety.
Yeah,
You are such a fascinating person. That answer alone, I'm like, if anybody asks me, I'm going to be like, I want to have dinner with Chris.
Yeah, literally.
I just want them to know, it's just so tragic when people die and they don't realize how much good they brought to the world, because it doesn't happen until they're dead.
Okay, quick fire. Favorite plant-based milk, almond, oat, or soy?
Soy.
One myth about veganism you wish would disappear forever.
Protein.
What's the one ingredient you can't live without?
Chocolate, 100% dark chocolate.
Most misleading health book of the century.
I'd have to choose between Nina's book or Gary Taubes's books. But I'm just going to say Nina's is the most misleading.
And name the title, please.
The Big Fat Surprise. It shows a piece of seared meat, charred meat, ribs, with a halo over it. The Big Fat Surprise. Meat is good for you. It belongs in a healthy diet, meat and butter. Oh, come on.
Favorite meal to cook for friends or family?
Recipe we got off of Forks Over Knives for dal. And I think it's off Forks Over Knives. I love that recipe. It's just so good.
Okay, first thing you do when you wake up.
Big cup of green tea, warm green tea.
How long until you check your YouTube comments after waking up?
Well, so this is funny. I was in the book industry for a while, and I had a professor who told me, when you're going to do something high IQ, do it in the morning. So from 8 to 1 o'clock, that's when you're at your best. So I try not to get too distracted by that stuff, but I will check for really urgent things first thing in the morning. And if it's not urgent, it has to wait.
If you weren't advocating for a plant-based living, what would you be doing?
Doing videos on photography. I just love photography.
You've kind of already alluded to it, but just for this segment, Steve Jobs, easy or hard to work with?
Hard, very difficult. But I think people who made it with Steve would say they were the best times of their life. They got to change the world. He pushed them to their very limits. They learned a lot. It's the most intense person I've ever been around in my life.
What is the best piece of advice you've ever received?
When I was struggling as a student, I had one attempt at UC Santa Barbara and I flunked out, basically. I went back to University of Utah that would accept me. And this professor came and said, if you want to graduate in the top 2% of your class, I'll tell you what to do. You find a place to go 6 days a week for 4 hours, and you make that your place where you don't eat. There's no distractions. You don't, check a telephone or anything like that. And you will learn to focus during those 4 hours. And oh my gosh, I got a 3.8 average. I got a full scholarship to Stanford.
I feel like I need to do that. That would help me. Okay, high carb or low carb for diabetes?
Virta has proven that keto just doesn't work in the long term. It works for the short term, but after 5 years, it's not working anymore. It works for very few people for that long. All the very low fat vegan stuff where you don't have nuts and things, I don't see the evidence for that. So I just don't really stress over the macros.
Okay, one thing you wish more people knew about plant-based diets?
How profoundly they can reverse your diseases.
Epidemiology, is it fake news or proof of evidence?
I think it is the most powerful science. The word means human studies, human health studies, but the techniques are used across every industry and have revolutionized every industry, from retailing to baseball to you name it. They just don't call it epidemiology because it's not a human health thing. And we've learned revolutionary things from that. And that's epidemiology. It's the law of big data. It's why the casinos in Las Vegas win and the gamblers lose in the long run. They've got the big data and you don't.
Okay, best book for longevity, How Not to Die or How Not to Age?
I guess I'm more influenced by How Not to Age because of his provocative words about protein. the longevity scientists that Dr. Greger is reporting about are noting that excess protein is no bueno for longevity, especially if it's animal protein. That part is really clear.
If you could change one thing about the food industry overnight, what would it be?
The way animals are raised. Commercial animal agriculture is just unbelievable.
Yeah, agreed. I think I know the answer to this, but plant-based or carnivore?
Plant-based.
Dumbest influencer argument about health in 2025?
Plants are trying to kill you.
Favorite lifestyle doctor?
By doctor, you may mean a practicing medical doctor. So I would say Will Bolsowitz for 3 reasons. Number one, he has a master's in epidemiology, so he knows what he's reading when he sees the studies. Number two, he's focused on the gut, which I think over the last 15 years has revealed more about human health than any other field of research. And he identified fiber as the biggest nutrient of concern. It's not protein, it's fiber, I think.
Favorite lifestyle doctor who has passed away?
I'd have to say Ansel Keys. I have many of his books and I've read them. It could be Harriet Chick. I mean, he identified a long time ago, he and his wife, she was great too, and the team he had around him identified beans as being so key to longevity and wrote a book about it. He popularized the Mediterranean diet. He just was a giant in the field.
Awesome. What's more unhealthy, paleo or carnivore?
Carnivore, at least paleo, you get to eat some veggies and things.
Yeah, true. Okay, last question. What is the funniest or weirdest comment you've ever received on your YouTube page?
Yeah, so somebody posted an image in one of my discussions. It shows a casual guy in a T-shirt and shorts. It's a drawing addressing a huge audience, and they labeled the audience scientists, and they put a speech bubble above him saying, "Yeah, you're all wrong." It's like, yeah, that's the world we live in when it comes to nutrition. There are these people, steak and butter gal. Yeah, all the scientists who ever lived, tens of thousands of them who actually do research, they're all wrong because I ate steak and butter and I felt better. I don't know whether to laugh or cry, but probably both.